Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to A Story Called Fighting. My name's Angelo, and today what we're going to be going over is the Dustin Poirier versus Calvin Kattar fight that took place this past weekend. And boy, what a performance that was by Max Holloway. Pretty incredible, to be honest with you. He added things to his arsenal that he really didn't even have before, like the elbow, the spinning back kicks. He did a Brazilian kick at one point. I mean, he did stuff he's never even really done before, and he just looked so sharp and crisp, even more so than before, and he already looked amazing before. So it's almost like a Max 2.0. And one of the things he actually accredits this to is that he hasn't been sparring heavy, at least, which is something I actually do believe in. And there are coaches who do request or advocates for this style of sparring, where it's just more touch, more kind of, you can still go fast, but you don't really hit each other hard in sparring. And it actually, will save your brain, less CTE, your jaw will be better. You'll be in a better state mentally and psychologically. Be able to take bigger hits by the time the fight actually comes, because it hasn't taken previous damage up to the fight. So it's actually pretty smart, and he actually accredits, being able to take shots and having better performances to that style of sparring, which I think is very, very smart. And that is, in my opinion, the definition of working smarter and not harder, which I'm always for. I think everyone should be for. So let's get into a little bit of the performance that he had against Calvin Kattar. I want to talk about why he won. I want to talk about why Calvin Kattar lost. Because Max Holloway did an amazing job, but I will say I don't think what he did to Calvin Kattar he could do to someone like Conor McGregor. I don't think he could, and I'll get into why. I don't know if he's going to be able to do that, even though I do believe he won the Alexander Volkanovski fight. I do think they'll fight again. I think they'll have no choice, even though Alexander probably doesn't want that, probably because he knows, or he has some idea that Max probably kind of edged him out, or at least it was a very, very hard fight. But anyone with two eyes who has any understanding of fighting knows that Max Holloway won that second fight. There's no doubt about it. He won. But one of the reasons that Max has had more problems with guys like Volkanovski, Conor McGregor, guys like that, Dustin Poirier, is because they're guys that will present interruptions to his speed volume striking, right? If you're going to stop a volume striker, you got to either go first, you have to kind of trick them with feints so that you don't give them anything specific to counter. If you feint a lot at someone, especially if they're good feints, they're feints that sell, they're persuading feints. It's hard for a counterpuncher or a volume striker to know when to go or when to counterstrike when you're not sure what to counterstrike, or if you're always afraid that there's potentially something coming at you that can hurt you. We saw that's what Alexander Volkanovski did. Or you have to start first, like someone kind of like Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor did. I think Conor McGregor actually more kind of counterstruck with Max, versus Dustin actually went first a lot of the time, which didn't allow Max to really get his hands off and get momentum with his striking. Because once that dude gets momentum, it's pretty much over. I mean, he basically just runs with the fight. And Conor McGregor actually mostly counterstruck Max Holloway, which really messed up his rhythm, made him hesitant to come in and throw the volume that he was, because he was getting hit hard back. So you have to do something. You have to have some sort of, maybe a leg kick, a teep kick, prevent them from coming forward. You have to be able to throw something back at them, or prevent them or make them hesitant to come at you in general, because otherwise it just develops and develops, and eventually they get so much just volume and punches on you, it can be overwhelming. Another thing too is that Calvin Kattar isn't the best going backwards either. So first of all, Calvin Kattar didn't do any of those things. He didn't throw at Max first to prevent him from coming in. He didn't have any leg kicks or any body kicks, anything to, stop Max and make him feel pain, and hit him with anything when he would start to, commence his combinations or anything like that. There's no threat coming back at Max. That's the point. There's no threat coming back at him. Therefore, he can just do whatever he wants. So on top of not retaliating in any way, shape, or form, or giving Max Holloway anything to worry about, he also just is not a fighter that does well going backwards. And that's kind of how I knew that he was going to lose this fight, because he's a fighter that when he fights, he needs a minute or two to really set. He needs a couple seconds to set and then come forward. He's not a fighter who can strike going backwards. He's not someone like Conor McGregor who can strike going forward, sideways, and backwards, which is one of the reasons why Conor's so dangerous. He has to be going forwards, and he has to have these moments where things are, I'll maybe try and put some stuff on the screen here. He has to have these moments where things are kind of more set and where things are kind of more chill, you know, for a couple seconds at least, so he can think, gather himself, and then find the perfect shot. Usually he comes with a 2 or 3 punch combination. If that doesn't land, he'll usually kind of chill for a second, then go again, chill for a sec, reset, then go again. When he doesn't have the opportunity to do that, he doesn't really know what to do. He gets overwhelmed, starts swinging just wildly. He really does get shut down. On top of that, he also rhythm steps, which is not a very good thing at all. Rhythm step is when you do a jumping forward and back. Jesus. This wind is crazy. Sorry, there's a lot of wind out there. Rhythm step is when you do a jumping forward and back, and the lead foot comes in close to the back foot and then comes out, which makes your stance terrible and makes it so that you can actually be timed, because they'll know when you're coming with the strike, because the lead foot has to plant in order to throw that. Also makes you more susceptible for takedowns, because when your legs come together, much harder to defend or sprawl. So that's another thing Calvin Kattar does. But overall, there was no counter attacks, there was no counter strategy, there was no counter threats at all. So Max Holloway literally just did whatever he wanted from the get-go, and it really led to Calvin Kattar's demise. And it's something he's going to have to really, really work on if he wants to come back and ever have a shot at beating Calvin Kattar. He's got to have some other weapons, because Calvin Kattar, I mean, if Calvin wants to come back and beat Max, because Calvin is essentially just a solid boxer in MMA. Him and Max, in my opinion, are 2 of the best boxers in MMA right now, and maybe even ever. But Max is more than just a boxer. Max is more of a kickboxer, and also now is adding some elbows in. So he's doing a lot. And Calvin's just kind of stuck to his boxing, just his 1-2 and his hooks. And didn't really pan out too well for him. So he's going to have a long way to go and a lot to improve on. I think he got a 6-month medical suspension, so he's going to be taking a good 6 months off, which he should, because that fight probably took a couple years off his career, to be honest. And it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. So Max Holloway did an exceptional job, and I don't see anyone beating him. I think when he fights Volkanovski, it's going to be even worse of a beating. I think he will beat him definitively, assuming Volkanovski gets through Brian Ortega. Max Holloway already handled Brian Ortega pretty easily, so I think he'll handle him even easier, to be honest with you. I see Holloway being a champ within the next 2 years, probably the next year if everything goes well and he gets to fight at least once or twice. I see him beating everyone in 45. I don't see anyone touching him. So incredible performance by Max Holloway, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that division. And best of luck to Calvin Kattar. He's got some work to do. He's got some healing to do. And we'll see what the future holds. Going to be making some videos about McGregor coming up versus Poirier, who I think is going to win, how it's going to go down, factors in the fight, and it's going to be interesting. So go ahead and click the like button if you like that. You can subscribe if you want. And until next time.